Oh, Jamie, there's some new Mideast peace talks are set to begin next week in Washington. The direct talks will be the first time both sides have met since December of 2008, and the Obama administration hopes that there will be a peace deal in the Middle East within 1 year. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu saying earlier this morning that a peace deal is possible, but he says it will be difficult. Joining us now, as he does every Sunday about this time, is former United Nations Ambassador John Bolton and Fox News contributor. Ambassador, always good to see you.
Good morning.
Why would these peace talks succeed when the others for so many decades have failed?
Well, I think that's a question that nobody can really answer at this point, because the odds are overwhelming that these talks will fail too. And I think it represents a really perhaps a well-meaning but utterly misguided effort by the Obama administration. It's not a case that it doesn't cost anything to talk, that no opportunities are lost. I think that if these talks fail, combined with a lot else that's going on in the Middle East, the United States will emerge with the perception of being much weaker, much less able to influence events in the region.
Well, the administration thinks they could get this done within a year. They've given it that deadline.
Right, and it only took them 19 months of effort to get the parties to agree to sit down together. That's why this whole obsession with the process in the Middle East, I think, has distracted the United States from other priorities, like the growing, continuing threat of Iran and its nuclear weapons program and its support for international terrorism. That's why I say this effort has not been costless. There's been an opportunity cost in not focusing on the real problems.
Yeah, now we have the ambassador of death, the new drone that Iran has now launched that we've been reporting on this morning. But bottom line, what could make this work? On one level, on one side, Hamas is not signing on to that. And we will see on September 2nd both Mahmoud Abbas and Benjamin Netanyahu together at the White House. What do you expect them to celebrate or actually achieve on that day?
Well, I think Netanyahu already comes in having won a big victory. Abbas and the Palestinian Authority had insisted as a precondition to the negotiations that Israel stop all housing construction on the West Bank. Netanyahu resisted that. He's got a voluntary moratorium in place, but it's solely within Israel's discretion what to do about it. I think the bigger problem you alluded to by noting that Hamas has rejected these talks. The fact is that there is no one who can speak authoritatively on behalf of the Palestinian people. And that means no one who can make the hard concessions and commitments that would be necessary for any Palestinian-Israeli peace, or carry through on them in the years ahead. That alone, leaving everything else aside, that alone dooms these talks to failure.
Well, I mean, you've got the situation where they've not disarmed. Israel wants them to do that, of course. I mean, is that even possible? Is that in the realm of anybody's reality that Hamas would disarm before they create a Palestinian state?
I think there's zero chance of that, and in fact, I think, if anything, although the status of Hamas and Fatah among the Palestinians goes up and down, I think Mahmoud Abbas has actually been gravely weakened by our president's obsession with having these negotiations. Because Abbas took a position on housing, as I mentioned. He was forced to back down on it in order to have these talks. So I think he comes in weakened. When the talks fail, he will emerge, Abbas will emerge weakened even further, and I think that will lead to greater opportunities for Hamas on both the West Bank and in the Gaza Strip.
And finally, you're saying this will actually then do more damage than good?
I think so. You know, talk is not cost-free. Negotiations, like all other human activity, it has costs and benefits. You have to weigh the one against the other. And the problem for the United States is if we push this through and these talks fail, as they almost certainly will, we will look less effective, weaker in the region, and more vulnerable to pressure from Iran and other extremists.
Yeah, and finally, Ambassador, talking about Iran and this ambassador of death, this new drone they have. They fueled the nuclear reactor yesterday. The day after that, Mahmoud Ahmadinejad is hailing this new weapon delivery system. Your prediction?
Look, Iran is determined to get deliverable nuclear weapons. Bushehr is another step down that road. It's a belt and suspenders approach combined with their uranium enrichment capability if they decide to break out expel the International Atomic Energy Agency. They're developing their unmanned aerial vehicle capability. It may not be enough to reach Israel yet, but they're getting close. There's only a matter of time here before we have a real confrontation in the Middle East, and trying to ignore it away or say it's not serious is blinking reality.
A matter of time before a real confrontation in the Middle East, says Ambassador John Bolton, who has been around for many years. Thank you, Ambassador. Always good to see you.
Thank you.
Jamie?
Dan Gilliman is joining us in the studio today. Ambassador Gilliman, it's really great to have you.
It's very good to be here, Jamie.
And there could be a lot of optimism about these talks, direct talks. It has been a long time, yet the Prime Minister has come out and said it is possible, but it will be difficult. Those are his words. Is that the right starting point? What is your opinion on what he said?
Well, unfortunately, I think the Prime Minister is right. I think this meeting is not boding well. I think it's premature. I think in a way it's sort of déjà vu all over again. And I think the President maybe got the wrong people at the wrong place at the wrong time, because this first meeting shouldn't be between the Israeli leader and the Palestinian leader. Israeli leaders and Palestinian leaders have been talking for nearly 20 years, for thousands of hours. They don't need the Rose Garden or the Oval Office or the White House lawn in order to talk.
So why is it happening now?
I think it's happening because the President is looking for some kind of achievement in foreign policy. I think that if you look at the last 18 or 19 months, there haven't been any. I think the President has been very intent and very ambitious in trying to engage the United States enemies, whether it's North Korea, Iran, whether it's adversaries like China or Russia or even the Arab world. And what you have to ask yourself is, what did he get in return? And
but
so
this
far,
meeting
nothing.
will take place. So when it does, the Palestinians have said it's a no precondition meeting, but the Palestinians have said if the settlement developments continue when the moratorium is lifted, they're out. That's it. And it would be hard, I would imagine, to reestablish it after. What does Israel plan to do in furtherance of these meetings? Will they build?
Well, I'm not sure what Israel will do. I'm sure Israel will make every effort to make these meetings succeed and to make the talks succeed. Israel really wants peace. But when I said that this is getting the wrong people, the people who the President should really get together is the so-called moderate Arab and Muslim world. The Arab countries should be made to understand that it is time for them to recognize Israel, to normalize relations with Israel, and to support and legitimize a Palestinian leader who will go for a settlement. Without that support, without this legitimacy, the Palestinian leader, Mahmoud Abbas, who is weak anyway, and the Palestinian society, which is fragmented between Hamas and Fatah, cannot even reach a settlement. So there may be a very nice meeting and there may be great photos. But the problem is what happens the day after. And unfortunately, there's another danger, Jamie, and that is that we've seen it before. If talks fail, violence could erupt. So this meeting has to be planned very carefully. This meeting has to have the support of the Arab world. Otherwise, as you can see, the two sides are very reluctant, very skeptical, and this meeting could actually result not in a peace process, but in a very violent outbreak.
Hamas plays a role?
Hamas plays a role by being Hamas, by being a terror organization which is committed to the destruction of Israel. And I'm sure Hamas does not want these meetings to succeed. I'm sure that Hamas will even try, maybe with the help of their very generous sponsors, Iran, to make sure that there are some terror activities in order to disrupt it. So we are playing into the hands of the spoilers. And this is why it is so important to lay the groundwork, to get the Arab world behind this, to legitimize it, to support it. If they do, we have a chance. If they don't, I don't think we do.
Ambassador Gilliman, thank you so much for coming in today. September 2nd is a very big day, hopefully in furtherance of peace.
Thank you, Jamie. It's very good to be here.
Take care. Eric?
Good to see you, Ambassador, especially here. Thank you, Jamie.